Welcome to the Writer Reads Seventh Son, Part 8, the last part. Seppelitus stayed conscious long enough to see the dawn quivering along a distant horizon and taste the cold morning air. Then he passed out. When he regained his senses, he was no longer on the mountainside. His clothes were clean, his wounds were carefully stitched, and he had an overwhelming urge to pee. Pushing himself upright, he rolled back the linen covering him and swung his legs over the edge of the bed. Warned by the tenderness in his side and back, Seppelitus carefully slid down until his feet touched the floor. More careful movement revealed a chamber pot beneath the bed and a basin for washing his hands in on the nightstand. Someone had brought him back to the mansion. Seppelitus looked around. A stack of clothes sat in a neatly folded pile on a chair by the nightstand. Boots had been tucked beneath it. He dressed, listening for the sound of movement, for any warning that he might not be alone. He felt as though something watched him, even though the room was empty of anything but the furniture and furnishings that should be there. He dressed slowly, watching the shadows, listening to the sounds of the empty room around him, trying to hear noises from beyond the door. He noticed the fire was burning low and took a log from the basket beside it. You know the healers would have a fit to see you out of bed. Seppelitus dropped the log and straightened, too quickly for the stitches at his side. He gasped, his head spinning with pain. If the Lord Knight had not hurried to his side, he would have fallen. Easy there, he said, guiding Seppelitus so he could lean on the edge of the bed. Idiot boy, echoed in his head. I can hear you, you know. I know. Seppelitus didn't know whether to be outraged or amused. What do you want? Your service. Well, that was to the point. And if I choose not? It's a long walk back home. Seppelitus imagined it was. You owe me, he said, and the dragon snorted. If it wasn't for you, I'd not have had to fight an ogre to get my people back. If it wasn't for me, Seppelitus let the words fade. There was no good way to end that sentence. The dragon was right. If it wasn't for him, the villagers wouldn't have been taken in the first place. It really had been all his fault. He shrugged. He couldn't help being born. You're not going to threaten to share my secret? The dragon asked, and Seppelitus shook his head. Why not? It might be worth your while. I doubt it. What had he heard? Never deal with a dragon? And if that held true, blackmailing one was more stupid than... Well, it was just stupid, and he wasn't, no matter what the dragon said. The Lord Knight walked toward the door, the firelight casting his shadow on the wall. It was not a human shadow, and Seppelitus, raising his head to follow the man's movements, stared. Lord Bright caught his look and stopped, his back to the corner of the room. Be my bodyguard, he said. I need a loyal man at my side. Andramus is loyal, and your seer. They have different roles to play. I need someone to ride with me. What of your captain? He does not know what I am. Are you certain? The men of the north are not fond of dragons, not even those that protect their lands. Seppelitus looked at him, and Lord Bright shrugged. It's just the way they are, he said. But surely, if they knew... Let them get through grieving, Lord Bright said, his eyes suddenly bleak. They're angry with you. If they knew I was what I am, I could still lose them. Seppelitus stared. Are they worth keeping that much? He asked, and the Lord Knight fixed him with a look that confirmed it more than the man's next words. That much and more. They stared at each other for a long moment. Why me? Do I need a reason? Dragons have been taking familiars for hundreds of years. Usually they don't ask. Well, I do. Always? You are the first. Don't they usually take elves? Lord Bright gave him a long look and then sighed. Usually, elves live long enough for their skills to have value. But I'm not an elf. No, this is true, the dragon said. I won't live as long. It is true that you haven't lived as long, but your skills are unique, and a familiar lives as long as his master. My skills are unique enough to interest a dragon. Yes, but I'm not old enough. And you weren't about to get any older, was the dragon's acerbic reminder. Seppelitus opened his mouth to argue, couldn't refute the logic. He pursed his lips. Are you saying you don't want to be my familiar? The dragon's voice was deceptively mild. It's not that, I just. Yes. It's not a path I had contemplated. The dragon smiled, and Seppelitus had trouble reconciling that all too human face with the shadow on the wall. And now? Seppelitus forced himself to look, truly look, at the man before him. For sure, he looked human, looked like the kind of warrior he dreamed of serving before the Assassin's Guild had insisted he accept their offer of employment. The copper whiskers were touched with silver and trimmed into a neat beard and moustache. The face was weather-beaten, with crow's feet in the right places around the eyes. The eyes were a dark brown and fringed with copper lashes, and in spite of this, he still looked more like a man of honor than a dragon. A warrior or a king or a ruler used to achieving what he wanted for his people and then holding it. Seppelitus had to remind himself that the creature before him was a dragon, possibly with all the traits that legend claimed. How do you do that? He asked, taking in the dragon's human form, taking in the monstrous shadow with its tail patiently twitching behind it. The dragon ignored the question. You protected me once, it said. Why the confusion now? Am I not still the same person? That was, we were in the same predicament. You were. I still have men to lead, the dragon said, and they do not know what I am. It glanced around the room, looked toward the ceiling. Although I fear that's about to change. Will they stay? Seppelitus grasped the dragon's dilemma. For some reason, the creature had decided to fight for the North, but the men of the North might not follow a dragon, might rebel against the magic it represented. The dragon sighed. They might stay, it said, if I had a human fighting by my side. A seventh son, Seppelitus could not help but tease him. A wizard's son. A human, the dragon said, anger fringing its tones with a snarl. Seppelitus closed his mouth on the first reply that came to his lips. To remind the dragon that some of the Northmen would consider him somewhat less than human was useless. The creature knew that already. Will you guard my life? The dragon asked. And Seppelitus found there really was only one way he wanted to answer. To the end of my days, my lord.